Here we go. Welcome to a pretty important live stream here on Meteorologist Shane Smith Facebook and on YouTube. That's me. I'm Meteorologist Shane Smith. Nice to be talking with y'all. Not nice to be talking about the potential of ice. So let us know where you are joining us from this evening. We are tracking the potential of a major winter storm this weekend. Hit that like button, hit that share button. I know the UK game is on. Have the UK game going on your TV. Pop up the live stream on your phone, and let's talk a little weather. We got a lot of folks joining us this evening. I'm going to shout out some of y'all. Debbie Hutchinson joining us on YouTube from Lexington. Luke Owens in Barberville. Jason Smith in Vitco. Anita Bush in Slimp. Renee Lawson in Viper. Nikki Johnson over in Peaburg. Sierra Miller in London. My good friend Mike Davis in Manchester. My lovely mom Belinda from Lilly. Old friend of mine Josie Kilburn from Kiwi. Austin Kendrick, another good friend of mine from Pikeville. Let me know if y'all are hearing me okay. Let me know if the audio is working. Got Ricky joining us for Stanford, Kentucky. Like I said, like and share these videos, and we'll try to answer your questions tonight. I've got the current radar pulled up from Pikeville. I am going to spot check this real quick, make sure it is working.
It's Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, and here...
No, I don't want to watch Ryan's latest video. All right. Sounding good. Okay, good deal. All right, so there's a lot to talk about. I'm also testing out some new equipment tonight, so bear with me if everything doesn't go exactly smoothly. That's the fun of producing these things live and on the fly. So right now, we've got rain moving through eastern Kentucky. We had a little bit of wintry mist up in central Kentucky. I know Louisville and Lexington both had some major traffic issues this morning because of the snow this morning. There was a winter weather advisory up there. My mother-in-law, Susie, says my little boy wants to talk to me. They're over in Perry County tonight. Miss you guys. Thank you, Susie, for watching. Hey, Eli. I miss you, buddy. Amanda's got a doctor's appointment in the morning. Please pray for her. She's been recovering from bariatric surgery. Just doing awesome. Well, she is making progress, but not feeling well. But I'm proud of her. Okay. Let's talk weather. Nobody wants to know about my personal life right now. Here's what's going on. Cold front moving through. We are going to see the rain move out over the next couple hours. And then behind it, more cold air starts diving down from Canada. So we're kind of identifying all the players on the board. That occluded front and cold front coming down from Minneapolis, that comes in on Friday. That sets the stage for this area low pressure that's right now just off the west coast. They're going to be seeing rain in San Francisco and LA tonight, and that system will work across the desert southwest tomorrow, begin to bring a wintry mist to the southern plains on Friday, and should arrive here in Kentucky early on Saturday morning. So, that is the stage for now. Let's talk about what all we got going on. Winter storm watch out, not just for the entire state of Kentucky, which it is not often you see one for all of Big Blue Nation. Big Blue Nation covered in Big Blue tonight, but it's not just us. Almost 2,000 miles of real estate stretching back from near Tucson east to near Richmond. And we'll likely see more winter storm watches and warnings start to go up over the next couple of days. Easy, Bray. My dog is not happy the neighbors are parking their car. So if you hear him, that's what's going on. So this winter storm is going to impact a large chunk of the country. It's not just Kentucky in this one. I'm going to be focusing mainly on Kentucky tonight, but if you're joining us from somewhere outside the bluegrass, please feel free to ask questions. I will answer them to the best of my ability. There are still a lot of questions with this system. There are still a lot of factors that we have to sort out. Okay, Austin Kindercasting, do you think we will see ice or snow this weekend? I think both, Austin. It's really going to depend on where you're at. Let's break that down since you asked. Here is my current thoughts on who sees predominantly what type of precipitation. This will change, and you notice I do not have a snow total forecast right now. Here's the reason for that, friends. With this kind of a dynamic setup and some of the tight temperature gradients that we're going to be dealing with, I don't feel comfortable pinning down a exact snow forecast just yet. If we can get some consistency in the data, if they can converge towards a solution, I might have one out tomorrow morning. Chances are it's going to be tomorrow afternoon or evening. I'm planning on doing another one of these live streams tomorrow evening to talk about the winter weather potential. So stay tuned for more details. But right now, northern Kentucky, we'll say pretty much the I-64 corridor into the north. Y'all are looking mainly snow. From about the I-64 corridor down to the Mountain Parkway and the Bluegrass Parkway, we're going to see that transition line begin somewhere in there. Start to mix in a little bit of sleet. You go south of the Mountain Parkway and Bluegrass Parkways, you start to get into snow and predominantly sleet. And then down in southern Kentucky, south of Highway 80, you're looking at snow to sleet to freezing rain, back to snow, and we may even throw just a touch of plain rain in there. I can't rule that out. That's why trying to nail down the precipitation types is going to be really tricky. I am going to try to post a snow forecast on my Facebook page, and I will be updating throughout the weekend. So if you haven't followed me over on Facebook, right there, Meteorologist Shane Smith. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X. I will be posting some short form videos later tonight and early tomorrow with some updated information. Difference between sleet, freezing rain, and snow. Okay, here we go. Sleet is ice crystals. Snow falls, hits a warm pocket of air, melts, and then hits a cold pocket of air that is thick enough that it turns into a little ice pellet. That is sleet. Freezing rain, snowflake falls, hits a warm pocket of air, melts, stays rain until it hits the ground, but just at the surface, the ground temperature or the ambient object temperature is below freezing. So that rain turns to ice on impact. So the rain freezes. That is freezing rain. And then just plain snow, the column is cold all the way from the top of the atmosphere to the ground. It stays frozen. And you can have multiple types of snow. You can have more of a wet snow with temperatures that are closer to the freezing mark, bigger ice crystals, a little bit wetter. And then the colder the temperatures get, the snow becomes more of a dry, powdery snow. Up in northern Kentucky, this is mainly going to be a powdery snow, I think. As you start to go south, we start to deal with more of that wet snow. And my mom said it best. We want no ice. We also want the Cats to get back in the lead. Texas just went up 32-30. Okay. So this is what precipitation type I think is going to be the predominant precipitation type for each part of Kentucky. Now, I'm debuting a new tool tonight. I'm excited about this. My buddy meteorologist Jim Caldwell showed me this. This is called Aguacero WX, or Aguacero Weather. So this is some new weather display software I'm going to be playing around tonight. So what I've got loaded up for you tonight is the GFS model with future radar and temperatures. So let's take you through tomorrow. We're going to wake up 7 a.m. Temperatures in central Kentucky, upper 20s, southern Kentucky, low to mid 30s. Step you forward a little more. Afternoon. Highs mid 30s, central Kentucky, near freezing up near Covington. Low 40s, Pikeville, Hazard, London, Williamsburg, Columbia, Bowling Green, upper 30s, low 40s. Then Friday. That's when that cold air really starts rushing in. We go from near freezing at London at 1 o'clock. Covington's already at 18. That Arctic air will push southward through the day on Friday. And when we wake up Saturday morning, 4 o'clock Eastern, 18 in Murray, 16 Paducah, 12 in the Lexington Metro, 9 your air temperature in Covington, 16 Hazard, London, Pikeville. And you'll notice the blue moving in. That's snow. This is one model's take. This is the GFS. We're going to use this strictly for illustration purposes. I'm going to show you some of the other models here in a little bit. Snow overtakes the state Saturday morning. So a lot of people have been asking, do we see snow on Friday? Right now, best guess, probably not. I think the snow holds off for Kentucky until Saturday. Austin, not right now. They have not asked me to fill in yet. We shall see if that changes. So the current future radar you're looking at, this is going to be 10 a.m. Saturday morning. So by 10 o'clock Saturday morning, you've got temperatures into the teens. Snow is flying. So I'm going to back that up just a little bit. So Friday, 7 a.m. Everybody's in the 20s. Temperatures fall throughout the day. By midnight-ish, we are into the teens. By 10 a.m., snow is overtaking the state. Snow continues through the early afternoon, according to this model. Now, up in northern Kentucky, this is going to be a very powdery snow. You're going to get some crazy snowfall ratios, probably close to 20 to 1. 20 inches of snow for every 1 inch of liquid. Down here in southern Kentucky, as the temperature comes up a bit, we will see the snow start to become more wet. Now, the latest run of the GFS is not going as aggressive on the warmer air coming up. Oh, and then by the way, just for your information, Monday morning, 7 a.m. This is the air temperature. This is not the wind chill. We could see wind chills, or air temperature, close to 0 to 5 below in some parts of the state. 3.8 degrees in Hazard. 5.2 below 0, Moorhead. Positive 5 in Louisville. Okay. Also, forgive me if I'm sniffling or you see me blow my nose. Fighting a sinus infection today. Bad time for the weatherman to be under the weather. Okay. Let's look at what some of the models are showing. Now, I'm going to put a big disclaimer on this. This is not my forecast. This is raw model data. This will change. This is one possible solution. So up in northern Kentucky, 4 to 10 inches of snow. Southern Kentucky, more than that. Now this, from the GFS model, once again, is assuming we stay mainly snow. It is one of the coldest solutions. And honestly, as much snow as that is, and as much of a problem as that would be, I would rather deal with it than what some of the models are showing besides that. Logan Bond joining us from Burnsville, North Carolina. The models are going to go back and forth, Logan. Hurricane Hunters are flying another mission tonight. That'll improve some of the model data going in. I think that'll give us a better track. That will kind of cause some more wobbles. And once we actually get that storm over land, we should see the models kind of converge towards a solution. So they may come south again. They may go back north. I don't know just yet. Lexington Park, Maryland. We can scoot this over. I'm not sure where Lexington Park is, but we'll take it. I can tell you most of the state of Michigan is looking at about 10 to 15 inches right now from the GFS model. Most of the state of Maryland looking at 10 to 15 inches from the GFS model. So hope that answered your question. Now that's one model. I'm going to show some others. Which model tends to be more reliable? Okay, Brittany, excellent question. Historically, in this range, I lean heavily on the European forecast model. The Euro is kind of the gold standard of forecasting. In this case, I am hoping the European model is wrong because it is showing some nasty, nasty, nasty freezing rain down in southern Kentucky. So let me show you this, friends. So we'll take a look at some of the snowfall totals real quick. So snowfall from the European model. 8.5 inches Murray, 15 inches Paducah, 14 inches Madisonville, 6 inches Hopkinsville. Notice how tight that gradient is from a pretty solid hit to just absolutely insane snow, and then you get the freezing rain and the sleet. London, in this run of the European, only seeing 3.5 inches of total accumulation of snow, because when we change it over to freezing rain on Sunday, according to the European model, we can see some prolific freezing rain. There's that freezing rain forecast for southern Kentucky and the sleet forecast on the bottom half of your screen. Aaron, buddy, I'll have a better idea tomorrow, and I know that's kind of a cop-out. I can tell you this, my gut tells me I think most of the data will shift a little bit south. The models historically tend to underdo Arctic air. The one caveat that can throw this off, and that's really going to complicate this forecast, is does that area of low pressure become a little more intense than what the models are showing? And that's why we need the hurricane hunters out there tonight sampling the storm so we can get better data to see if it could be more intense. Because if that low becomes more intense, it pulls up more warm air from the south. That's why the European model is showing the heavier snow band further north than what the GFS was, because it's showing a stronger area of low pressure, and it is pushing that warmer air farther north so that we turn the snow to freezing rain here in southeast and south central Kentucky, if the European model is correct. Once again, one model's take. Teresa, right now, there is my... yeah, and you're absolutely right, Jonathan. I'll get back to that in just a second. So this is what I think Pikeville will see. I think Pikeville is on that borderline. I do think they will mix over some sleet at some point, Teresa. There may be some freezing and rain, especially down to the southern end of the county around Dorton. It's going to be close. Gerald, Southern Kentucky. I think we're going to get hit hard with something, just whether or not it's snow or freezing rain. And Jonathan, to comment on what you're saying, yeah, absolutely. This is super frustrating as a meteorologist. We go from one model showing the major snow over northern Kentucky in the European model. The GFS has everything 150 miles south and has the major snow right over southern Kentucky. So yeah, that model there showing close to 2 feet for Middlesboro. Hi, Brandon Marcy. Hope you're watching. Hope you get that for your sake. I know you've been wanting a big one. But the European model says, nah, 2 inches. That's why I'm not comfortable throwing out totals just yet, because we have such a huge difference in the models. We don't know exactly where this is going to track just yet. Now, hopefully tomorrow, with that updated data going into the models from the hurricane hunters, we might start to get a convergence where they all start showing something similar. The Canadian is kind of in between, and one disclaimer on this version of the Canadian. This version of the Canadian is assuming a 10-to-1 snow ratio. It does not have, it does not account for temperature. You can almost double those snow totals to get it a little bit more in line with what I think it would do if this model was right. Now, this is kind of the in-between. Hey, Ben, thanks for joining us. This is going to hit on Saturday. Yeah, Brittany, that's absolutely right. One model showing nearly 20 inches in hazard, the other 1.5 inches. This one shows 3.7 inches, but it's really, if you were to add the temperature in appropriately, it'd be closer to 7. E-Town, I think, is in a pretty good spot. Bluegrass Collectors 954. Thanks for joining us over on YouTube. Be sure to hit that like button, share. I do think you all will end up on the higher end of mostly snow. If you were to say, Shane, give me a hard and fast forecast right now for E-Town, 8 to 12 inches would be my forecast for E-Town. I know that's a bit of a shotgun range. I don't like normally doing that much of a range. There is some variability in the data, as you all are seeing. And once again, the Canadian model does have that area of freezing rain in south central Kentucky, just not as bad as the GFS. This would still cause problems, but less than the European model. The European model was showing over 1 inch in some spots. That's bad. You don't want that. I'd much rather hear what the Canadian is showing with around 3/4 of an inch or so. Once again, I know that's a lot to process. I know it's frustrating. I don't have a full snow forecast together just yet, but that's why. And I wanted to be transparent and open with you guys because we just don't know yet. There is that big a gap in the data. And I know a lot of folks may be joining us during the middle of the UK game. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. I'm a meteorologist with about 15 years of experience forecasting Kentucky weather. We're breaking down the winter storm for this weekend. Right now, we're talking what kind of precipitation type will you mainly see? Northern Kentucky, this is mainly a snow event. Around the I-65 corridor is where we may start to mix in some sleet. I think there's a much better chance of snow and sleet south of the Mountain Parkway and Bluegrass Parkway. And down along the Tennessee border, we will likely see snow changing to sleet to freezing rain back over to snow by Monday morning. And now we're going to take a look at some of the other models from our friends over at Pivotal Weather. We saw the data from the European model just a minute ago. In fact, I can pull that up. We'll go take a look at that here in just a second. But here we go. This is Friday. Notice we are dry Friday. Our storm starts organizing over the Great Plains. Saturday morning, it pushes eastward. The European model is a little bit slower. It does not get the snow here in eastern Kentucky until Saturday afternoon. It is one of the more slower solutions, and that's part of one of its biases, which makes me think this one may be just a smidge off, is because the European model does have a bias for holding low pressure systems and energy in the southwest too long and making it a little too strong. So I'm hoping that bias is showing itself and that we actually won't have that strong a low pressure sitting on the Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama borders Sunday early afternoon. Because the stronger that low pressure gets, the better the chance we see freezing rain. We want this low to be weaker and further south so we don't deal with freezing rain. And then that first low will transfer its energy to a new low that's forming off the east coast. This is going to turn into a full-blown nor'easter. So you got the lead low coming in on the south, and then the secondary low forming off the Delmarva Peninsula Sunday night into Monday. And we likely see a little upslope snow action Monday morning before it tapers off. And yes, it is going to be so cold next week that this will stay frozen for days on end. Some of the model data I was looking at last night and earlier today showing here in London, we not going above freezing from Friday afternoon until next Thursday. So whatever falls is going to stick around for a bit. So once again, that is the European model's take on how this plays out. And that's what that translates to. Heavier snow in northern Kentucky, a period of freezing rain in southeast Kentucky, and then ending as some light snow. Sorry, I was working through a little bug there. All right, so that was the European model. Here's the Canadian. Now, a word about the Canadian model. The Canadian model has been on a hot streak like I have not seen for the last 2 weeks. This model has absolutely been dialed into this pattern and doing very well. So I'm giving it a little bit more weight in my forecast than I normally would. Usually I would look at the European and GFS and then use the Canadian as a tiebreaker. Right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Canadian and the European and using the GFS as a tiebreaker. But anyway, it shows snow breaking out Saturday morning across southern Kentucky and working its way north into early afternoon. And then the sleet start mixing in early Sunday morning. Now, a word about the Canadian model's biases. All models have their biases. All models have their problems. The Canadian model is notoriously bad for overdoing the intensity of sleet pockets. Makes them a little too wide. So that is one thing to consider when you see this wide, huge sleet pocket, is that may be a little overdone. Also, another thing that this model's doing that the others are not is it's trying to make this first low an apse runner and run it up the west side of the Appalachian Mountains. If that happens, we will see more freezing rain, and it could push far north as Lexington, maybe even Dry Ridge. We will have to wait and see. So I hope the Canadian is wrong, that this is the one that breaks its streak, because we do not want that low running the west side of the mountains, the west side of the Appalachians. We want it to die off and transfer its energy over to the East Coast. Because if it doesn't, it's freezing rain city over here, baby. So how does that look? How does that play out? Well, we can switch back over to Aguacero WX and show you. Once again, not quite as intense on the freezing rain as the European model, and the snow is underdone because that model does not take into account the temperature profile of the atmosphere. Do y'all have questions? Hit me in the chat. I haven't seen anybody post anything in a little bit. So let me know if the chat is working well. Okay. So, sorry folks, having some technical difficulties. I will have snow totals probably tomorrow. All right, looks like chat's working again. I will have an official call tomorrow. I'm hoping to do the morning. James, not necessarily, because there's some other data we're looking at. So, next line of data I'm going to show you guys is what I call the Ensemble forecast. Hey, Mystery Jenna, watching on YouTube from Texas. Thank you. So, the Ensemble models are pretty cool because they take the baseline model, they run variations on that model, and then can spit out an average, which theoretically should give you a more accurate forecast because it can take into account some variations in what the atmosphere is doing. So this is the average snowfall through Tuesday according to a bunch of the different Ensemble models. This specifically is the Canadian model. Now, one thing to note, this is assuming a 10-to-1 snow ratio, which would be if temperatures were closer to freezing. We may see temperatures 10 to 15, maybe even 20 degrees below freezing. So that ratio is going to be higher. But it's showing about 6, 7 inches of snow in Laurel County, 10 to 11 inches in Lexington, 8 inches in Louisville, 10 to 11 inches in E-Town. Once again, that's an ensemble, so it's more spread out. It's not as detailed. The European ensemble, once again, picking up on that heavier snow band in central Kentucky, lower in southeast Kentucky because of that freezing rain. But it's even showing 7 inches of snow in London, Hazard, Pikeville, 11 to 12 inches in Lexington, 10 inches in Louisville, 8 inches in Covington. The GFS model showing 8 inches in London, 9 inches in Richmond, 9 inches to 10 inches in Jackson, 10 inches in Hazard, 9 to 10 inches in Pikeville. And if you want another averaged out forecast, this is the National Blend of Models. This is a tool that the National Weather Service utilizes, where it blends all the models together to give you the overall average of all the data. So right now, that average is showing 8 to 9 inches in Laurel County, 8 to 9 inches in Pike County, 6 to 8 inches in Perry County, Lexington 12 to 14 inches, Louisville 10 inches, E-Town 10 inches, Bowling Green 9 to 10 inches, Paducah 8 to 9 inches. So once again, another piece of data. And here is the National Blend of Models for freezing rain, generally showing less than 1/4 of an inch in southern Kentucky. And you'll notice that lines up with where I set up my transition from the snow, sleet, and freezing rain to snow and sleet. Is because right now the overall average of the data has that freezing rain line being most intense in that part of Kentucky south. This is a messy, messy storm, my friends. We're just now starting to get in range of some of the high-res modeling. Here's the North American Mesoscale model. This is our short-range, higher resolution model. It shows the snow breaking out in western Kentucky a little bit slower. So this is new data, the first time I'm getting a look at it. It's showing that snow breaking out in western Kentucky around 1 o'clock Eastern Time, noon Central. Should see snow in eastern Kentucky by 1600, military time conversion, 3, 4 o'clock. Notice that sleet line down to the south. Heavy, heavy snow Saturday evening. Sleet, once again, according to the NAM. And the NAM ends around 1 a.m. Sunday morning. And it is showing a widespread pocket of sleet. So once again, another piece of data we're looking at. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I see UK is up 44.40, now up 48.42. Thank you for that report, Jennifer. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Old buddy of mine from my school days. All right. This model, the regional Canadian model. So this is the Canadians' version of the NAM. Looking pretty similar to the NAM, honestly. So that is something that while I'm not exactly a fan of seeing all that sleet come in, it is good to see that 2 of the short-range, more high-res models have some pretty good agreement. That starts to boost my confidence as a forecaster that we may be starting to converge towards a solution and can finally start putting some numbers together. The Weather Prediction Center Winter Severe Storm Index has minor impacts on Friday. They have not issued the product for Saturday yet. We will likely be in moderate to major impacts, is my guess. And that's because it's showing at least a 70% chance of freezing precipitation exceeding a quarter inch. That would be snow or sleet. So that's kind of how the data is breaking down right. Oh, whoops. When will the snow be heavy on Saturday? Well, we can look at that. Hang on one second there, Rodney. I'm going to pull up the NAM. Switch the view to Kentucky. Forgive the delay, folks. A little producing on the fly. Analysis on the fly. All right, so here's the future radar for Kentucky. 3 a.m. Central, nothing. 6 a.m., nothing. 9 a.m., here comes the snow. By lunchtime, it's at Bowling Green. By 4 o'clock, it's breaking loose across eastern Kentucky. And by Saturday night, it's showing the sleet taking over. So, before we transition, about a 2 to 3 inch swath of snow south of I-64 north of the Kentucky-Tennessee border. It's interesting to note. And then we say sleet the rest of the night, according to... So this is by midnight Sunday, total snow. And unfortunately, we don't have a sleet on this model. Amanda, Kaylee needs to be home probably no later than 1. Okay, how high from Michigan? What's the weather for Dublin, Georgia? Have family there. Okay, warm and sunny. Yeah, let me pull that up. Give me just 1 second, please. Actually having to look up where Dublin is. I am not familiar with where it is in Georgia. Okay, Dublin, Georgia. Oh, well, southeast of Atlanta, between Atlanta and Savannah. Okay, cool. So Dublin, kind of right in here-ish. Switch over to the European model. Well, European model says mainly rain. Let's see what the old GFS is saying. GFS is saying mainly rain for Dublin. Yeah, it's between Macon and Savannah, so like roughly right in here. And we'll look at the Canadian just for kicks and giggles. Oh, forgot they don't have that view on the Canadian model. It's okay, we can... Yep, Canadian showing rain for Dublin, Georgia. So, warm and sunny. I think it's going to be at least wet, not icy there. So, hopefully not that bad. All right, how much snow will get? Rodney, where are you asking from? Leslie, where are you asking for about the ice? And how much ice in Somerset? Yes, warm and sunny. No snow or ice right now in Dublin. All the major models are in agreement that it should be mainly rain there. Okay, Knott County for Leslie. Let me pull up our Kentucky map again. Leslie was asking about ice in Leslie County, or Knott County, excuse me. All right, Knott County definitely gets sleet, snow, sleet, and then transitions to freezing rain according to the Canadian model. And yeah, honestly, like even if we go more towards the European solution, I still think Knott County ends up some in the sleet and freezing rain. So I don't think it's going to stay all snow south of the Mountain Parkway and the Bluegrass Parkway. Holby Cash asking how much ice in Somerset. Holby, some of the models are spinning out between 3/4 of an inch and to an inch of freezing rain in Somerset and in London right now. So for Rodney, that is kind of to answer your question. Sorry, folks, getting kind of bombarded. Ruby, we're going to see it all depending on where you're at. So this kind of breaks down what I think you will mainly see, this map. And I tried to get a few cities on there. Weather for Nashville. Okay, give me just a second. Nashville, I think it's going to mainly end up freezing rain and sleet. They'll see a little snow at onset. I would be highly, highly concerned about freezing rain in Nashville. Let me pull this up and share this with y'all. So there's for Nashville. Almost an inch of freezing rain if that model is correct. You guys will forgive me. I'm trying to jump back into the chat. And guys, keep sending them through on Facebook. Warm and sunny. I'll get to Detroit just in a second. I've had several questions on Facebook. Question about Pineville and Floyd County. Let me swap this one. All right, so for Pineville, Brownwood, we are looking at snow to sleet to freezing rain. And for Floyd County, more snow and sleet, but the southern end of the county could get in on some freezing rain on Sunday. Ruby. Jared Eldridge, old buddy of mine, asking about good old Hazard. Jared, there's still some disagreements on the models about the timing. I would say anybody in Perry County, well, let me rephrase it this way. Anybody east of I-75 probably wants to be where they want to be to ride this thing out by noon. Maybe a little later than that, but I would say if you live east of I-75, you got till about noon on Saturday to get to where you're going to get. And honestly, the sleet could be a bit of a saving grace if we do end up seeing more of that. Sleet, you actually get more traction on than snow. It causes a mess, and then when it refreezes, it's going to be a pain. But at least as far as initial travel conditions, sleet may not be as bad as snow, and definitely not as bad as freezing rain. Oh, Bobby! Knoxville, I'm afraid, is going to see a lot of sleet and freezing rain from this. Still questions about how much. Oh, Jared's working on the road crew. Oh, buddy. Brother, take it easy out there. And if it starts freezing rain, you guys are going to have to wait it out a little bit. I have seen trucks on freezing rain flip. Just be careful out there. Yeah, Bobby, it is looking right now, sleet or snow should break out in Knoxville late morning, early afternoon, probably close to lunchtime. I don't think you guys stay snow long. I think y'all go over to sleet, and then by Sunday morning, you're kind of on that borderline where you all live. Will probably stay sleet longer than down like south towards Maryville. That will probably go over to freezing rain quicker. And then y'all are going to be in the freezing rain most of the day on Sunday before it ends as a little light snow. Jarrett, load up the snacks in the salt truck. You're going to need them, brother. Oh, okay. Warm and sunny asking about Michigan. This storm does not look like it's going to get up into Michigan. This one should stay south. Let me go to the national view. Yeah, like y'all may have some lake effect. Tomorrow, but the actual winter storm part of this stays well south of Michigan. Like y'all may get a little snow on the backside on Monday morning, maybe a couple inches. Nikki, I agree. The data from the Hurricane Hunter should plug into the 0Z run tonight. I think that's when they were going to try to have that data in by. So it would not surprise me to see the OZ runs have some big shifts in the data. Actually, let's see if they're flying right now. I've got it. There's an app for that. They are flying right now. Hold on 1 second, friends. We will pop that right up. So yes, that little airplane icon you see right there is the hurricane hunters. They are currently flying and dropping radiosondes into this area to sample and feed data into the models. Snow in Pike County. Austin should be late Saturday afternoon. We'll say after 1 or 2. Shreveport. That is more... Show me the map. Okay, northwestern Louisiana. Okay, sorry. Hang on, I'm pulling up Shreveport right now, Jackson. I'm sorry. Got a lot I'm looking at. Okay, here we go. Had to get some maps pulled up, brother. Apologize for the delay. I'm a one-man show here. I don't have an army of producers helping me out like some digital meteorologists. Okay, Shreveport likely starts to see freezing rain early Saturday morning. Maybe 6 o'clock local time. Here, brother, we'll zoom in for you. No other meteorologist on YouTube would do this for you. All right, here we go. Yeah, there's the freezing rain starting between 12 and 6, so probably closer to 4 or 5. Let me switch to the Euro. And it's showing Shreveport seeing freezing rain most of the day on Saturday. See how much. Three-quarters of an inch according to the European model. Just to show you what the other models are showing. GFS, not as much. The blend, about a ½ inch. So I would prepare Jackson to deal with about a ½ inch of freezing rain. I don't know what that'll do in Shreveport. I would assume that far south, that much ice would shut everything down 2 or 3 days, at least. And you will probably have power outages. So I would prepare to be able to deal with that, Jackson. Okay. Nikki asking about the hurricane hunters. It is not unheard of for the hurricane hunters to go in and do sampling on non-tropical systems if it is going to be a major impact system. I've seen them do this on a couple of winter storms. I've seen them do this on some severe weather setups in the past. Nikki, it is rare. It's uncommon to rare outside of tropical season to send them out. But you have to realize there were almost 180 million people in the line of this storm at last I checked. That is a ton of people. So this storm is going to have a major impact on several major metropolitan areas. Just to go back and show you like where all we have winter storm watches, some of the major metropolitan areas in the path of this storm. Oklahoma City, DFW, Austin, Houston, Shreveport, Memphis, Little Rock, Nashville, St. Louis, Bowling Green, Lexington, Louisville, Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia, Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina, Huntsville, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi. So you got a whole lot of folks impacted by this storm. So that's why they're over there gathering the data. And trying to tune up those models to give us the best forecast it can. It is great that they're using them, Nikki. It really is. Renji708 joining us on YouTube saying, do you think this would be as bad as February 2021 for London? I remember that storm. Honestly, yes, or potentially worse. I would have to go back and look at the record books a little bit more to see how this would line up versus like the ice storm of 94. Because I know that was kind of the worst one we've had around here in my lifetime. But, yeah. Yeah, I feel you, Nikki. I'm going to show you what we're seeing over for Northeast Mississippi. Some of the bigger data. Hold on one second. There you go. Pop up the Mid-South. Uno momento, por favor. Sorry, guys. Trying to get some stuff set up. Boom. All right. So for down in Mississippi, freezing rain, definitely a possibility, especially in the northern part of the state. Tip to a quarter of an inch, which in Mississippi, that's going to cause a lot of problems. And how much snow y'all can see? I think y'all are mainly ice. It is going to get very cold behind the storm, Rodney. What can we expect in hazard? Libby asking. All right, let's handle those one at a time. Just a recap for folks just joining us. I know we've had a lot of to and fro. So if you're just joining us, it's 8:35. I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. I'm a meteorologist based out of London, Kentucky. And we're talking about a big winter storm. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube answering questions about the storm. So let's show you how it plays out for Kentucky, and then I'll get up to New Jersey. All right, so on Saturday, the snow breaks out from southwest to northeast. The GFS model is trying to keep most of the sleet and freezing rain outside of Kentucky. We shall see. The other models are a little further north. By Monday morning, we have temperatures 5 degrees below zero across a large chunk of the state. Highs on Monday in the 20s. Lows Tuesday morning into the teens. Highs upper 20s. Maybe another skiff of snow on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we go near zero again by Friday if the GFS is to be believed. All right. We scroll up get up to the Jersey Shore. You're going to have to tell me where Elmer is in New Jersey because I am a little behind on my New Jersey weather. Although you need to be watching Norcast Nick. He takes care of New Jersey. Not that I am not glad you're here, but I am. He kind of covers that area very well. So it looks like snow breaks out for most of Jersey early Sunday morning and tapers off by lunchtime on Monday. I have no idea where Elmer is. Hang on, I'll throw up the snow forecast up that way. 1 second. Gotta love producing on the fly. Okay, so we had a request from New Jersey. Let me find out where Elmer is real quick. Sorry, folks. Okay, so it is out south of Philly. Okay. So there's Philadelphia. So Elmer would be somewhere over in here, east of Wilmington. So this model is showing, this is the European AI model, about 10 inches, about 8 inches from the old school Euro, 7 inches from the GFS, 6 inches from the Icon, a lot from the National Weather Service Belinda models, and about 10 inches for the British model. So if I was to do a forecast right now, not knowing anything about the local geography of Elmer, New Jersey, I would say expect about 10 inches of snow on Monday. Hope that helps you out. Never expected to be doing a forecast for New Jersey tonight. All right, so here's the European AI model. We haven't looked at this one. I kind of like this one. If I was going a forecast right now, that's not bad. That's a pretty safe first forecast. Jessica, oh, my Aunt Susie's niece. Hey, hope you're doing well. Or my mother-in-law Susie's niece. Louisville, about 10 inches to a foot right now would be my early guess. Yeah. About 10 to 12 inches in Louisville, if the Euro is right. That honestly lines up pretty well with a lot of the other data. GFS is obviously further south. The German's a little lower. British model's a little lower. The Belinda models has right at 10 inches. Louisville, 2 inches either side of 10, so 8 to 12 would be an early forecast. Tina, I don't think Williamsburg's going to see a ton of snow. Freezing rain may be another subject. I think Williamsburg, Kentucky, probably going to be in that 1 to 3 inch range with that snow, some heavy sleet, could be inches of sleet, and then up to an inch of freezing rain. Which is the recipe for a slush puppy machine exploding on the countryside. Buckhorn, Dwayne, hey, thanks for joining us. Yeah, Buckhorn, probably in that 4 to 6 range right now. There's going to be some sleet in there. There's going to be some freezing rain in there. So, southern Kentucky, let me flip this map back over real quick. Southern Kentucky is the area of greatest uncertainty for me right now, friends. Southern Kentucky is the problem because of the freezing rain. Once we get a better idea of where this storm is going to line up with the snow and the freezing rain and the sleet, that's going to make the forecast a little bit easier, assuming we converge towards a solution. If not, there's a reason homeboy's bald, y'all. I pulled out my hair a long time ago trying to forecast Kentucky weather. Brother, I'm right there with you. I hope we do not get the ice. The ice is not nice. I would personally love for this to be just all snow and be done with it. Because, yeah, it would cause some problems, but I'd much rather take snow than ice. And I don't think we're going to get warm enough for all rain. I think that Arctic high is just going to be too strong. And once again, if you're just joining us, you may have saw this map earlier. Let me widen it out. The hurricane hunters are currently finishing up a mission. They are, well, actually, they're still going. I think they're going to cut back to the west there. They are dropping radiosondes within the area where this low pressure is currently developing, so we can see the data as it falls through the atmosphere, the radiosondes they're dropping. Barometric pressure at the aircraft right now, 300 millibars. It is currently 9,000 meters above the ground. The temperature there, 40 degrees below Celsius. And they are currently seeing winds at 22 degrees. That's just off of the north at 26 knots. That's roughly 30 miles per hour. They were in some pretty intense wind farther to the south. A couple of knots close to 100 miles per hour down here in this pink and white up in the jet stream. So the hurricane hunters are currently flying a mission to drop. I need to turn the satellite on. That would be a nice. Hope this is enough. Oh, give me the long wave. Eastern Pacific. No. Northeast Pacific. There we go. So yeah, you can see they are currently flying into the storm and into that area to sample the atmosphere. You can see that area of low pressure pretty well delineated with that counterclockwise flow. That's wild. That's cool. Gosh, I wish I could show the entire map with that. That's a big area of low pressure spinning up, friends. Sorry, the weather nerd in me is just like nerding out seeing that. Renji and Travis asking about snow in London. Travis, right now, buddy, I would say a couple inches of snow, a couple inches of sleet, and up to an inch of freezing rain in London. If you were asking my early call, I'll put an official forecast out tomorrow. My mom asking about ice in Houston. Houston could get in on some freezing rain. Lake Jackson, I think, stays mainly rained for our interests down there. So, yes, the hurricane hunters are out currently flying a mission to sample this storm to tell us how this is all going to play out. Give us more data to feed into the models. Got some questions about hazard in Southeast Kentucky in general coming in from Kevin Harvick, fan number 4 on YouTube, and Shane Stamper on Facebook. Guys, here's the current thoughts. Down along the Tennessee border, snow to sleet, to freezing rain, back to snow. It's going to be a mess. This is where we're going to have a hard time hammering out the details. I'm going to be on adrenaline, prayers, and Diet Mountain Dew tomorrow, trying to figure out this one. Not sponsored, but do, if you're listening, you want to endorse me, I'll take that brand deal. Up to the north, snow and sleet from about the Hal Rogers Parkway and the Old Cumberland Parkway up to the Mountain Parkway and the Bluegrass Parkway. North of there, more on the snow slide, more on the snow side with maybe just a skosh of freezing rain and sleet. And then we go even farther north, mostly snow. If y'all want to support with stars on Facebook, that would be awesome. And we're getting close to unlocking super chats on YouTube. Help watch the channel, watch the videos, hit that like and subscribe bell, turn on notifications. We are just about 1,000 hours shy of having super chats and memberships available on the channel. So any support helps out, makes this a little bit easier and a little bit more possible. Austin, to answer your question, I am going live tomorrow. So another reason to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will be going at it again. And tomorrow night, regardless if I get the snow forecast done tomorrow morning or not, there will be a snow forecast tomorrow night. My honor as a meteorologist says I have to have a forecast out 48 hours before it hits. There will be a forecast. I will probably have to adjust that forecast a lot, but there will be a forecast, by golly. All right, got a lot of folks joining us on Facebook. Rodney Harris, Melissa Zachary, Ramey Hensley, Ruby Kahn, Tara Ost, Robin Trent. Thank you guys so much for watching. Over on the YouTube side of things, thanks for watching. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Once again, this is such a big storm, y'all. I can't emphasize that enough. I've got all the warnings, or the watches, all the area in the blue there. Let me turn the surface map off just to try to clean this up a hair. All that area right there. Almost 2,000 miles of real estate under a winter storm watch right now. That is wild. All because of this area of low pressure currently spinning off the west coast. Oh. So that storm is going to track eastward. Here, we can show you that. We can switch over to the model data. Yep, 12K. Producing on the fly, y'all. I'm going to turn those warnings off so it's a little easier to see. Here's how it all plays out. That area of low pressure spins up. Oh, new data's coming in. Let me switch that back to the OZ, or to the 18Z. That area of low pressure spins up, push eastward throughout the day tomorrow. You see it just blow up across the southern plains tomorrow. I know there were some questions down around Houston. They may get some freezing rain in Houston. I don't think it quite makes it to Lake Jackson. But it's going to be close. And that's as far out as this run of the NAM goes. It takes us through 1 o'clock Sunday morning. So the light pink, sleet, the darker pink, freezing rain, the green rain, and the blue snow. This is just such a big, big system. Oh, whoops. And right now, the hurricane hunters are out tracking it to feed data, to feed into those models to improve the forecast. I would say with them still running the mission and the OZ starting to run, some of that may have been pulled in. I'd say we'll see a bigger jump in the data quality on the 6Z run. I'll be very interested to see how the 6Z runs come out tomorrow morning. I am going live tomorrow, Austin. Crystal Montgomery joining us on YouTube in southern Indiana. Weather app predicts 12 to 14 inches. Is that reliable? Just have moved from Southern California. Well, welcome up to southern Indiana. Got some great friends of mine that live up in Vevey near Madison, Indiana. So I'm used to tracking southern Indiana weather. Weather apps are garbage as a rule. Most weather apps, Crystal, are fed raw model data. There is no human input into them. Some good local meteorologists from up in Louisville and Cincinnati, just to name off a few, the entire crew at Wave 3 in Cincinnati. They're great meteorologists. Fox 19 in Cincinnati, great meteorologist. I've got a couple of personal friends in Cincinnati in the weather game. Scott Dimick is an independent meteorologist. He covers southern Ohio, southern Indiana pretty well. Allison Rogers used to work with her. Adam Bernston used to work with him. They're all awesome meteorologists. I would go follow them. And just to give you my opinion on what southern Indiana is looking like, I would say plan for about 10 inches of snow, which would likely be a shut most of southern Indiana down type of snow for 2 or 3 days. We can take a look at that, Renji. Kayla, unfortunately, I think London's going to see a lot of sleet and freezing rain from this right now. The question is how much of each. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. Did have a question about the wind. Go to the old European model. It ought to... Nothing too crazy. Some gusts here in Kentucky, 20, maybe 30 miles per hour. If we were going to start seeing power outages, those usually happen at 30 plus. I haven't put out an official snow forecast yet. If I were going to, it would probably look something close to this right now. But also, once again, notice this is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio. That's probably too low. I'd say total for the event will probably end up going somewhere 15 to 18 to 1. So those snow totals are probably a little underdone. Okay, this is going to be for Kentucky and London specifically, mainly Saturday about lunchtime forward. Hey, Aaron, thanks for joining us. Good to see you, buddy. Another old high school friend of mine. Diddle Ison joining us on Facebook asking how much ice for East Kentucky, specifically Floyd County. Floyd County is going to be one of those hard spots to nail down because we're going to see multiple types of precipitation. The southern end of the county may pick up like 2 to 3 inches of snow. The northern end of the county may go close to 7, which is wild to think there'd be that much of a disparity in the snow. But it can happen. And then as far as the ice, which is not nice, that may be underdoing it a little bit. I would say at this point, plan for up to a quarter to a third of an inch of ice in Floyd County, Diddle. And there's probably going to be some sleet mixed in with that too. So we are coming up on 9 o'clock. Get those final questions in. I'll probably wrap this up about 9 because I've been going for an hour and a half at that point. Holy cow, this flew by. Once again, if you enjoyed what I did tonight, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. Every little bit helps. I will be back on tomorrow evening to talk about it a little more. I'll have full-on hard and fast numbers tomorrow night. They may have to get adjusted a bit, but I'll have you a forecast for Kentucky at least. Other spots, I will answer them as we go to those questions. I may need some time to sort it all out. This is a huge, huge storm. This is going to cover a ton of real estate. This is going to impact 180 million Americans, half the country, population-wise, and about a third to maybe close to 40% of our geography is going to be impacted by this storm. Starting in Los Angeles, just as a little bit of rain, going to the southern plains as a prolific ice and snowstorm, the potential for historic ice in the deep south, a major winter storm here in the Ohio Valley, and a big full-on nor'easter up east. This is going to be a storm we're going to talk about potentially for a long time. Do we hit that blizzard of 93 level? I don't know yet. It's not out of the realm of possibility. That's where I'm going to leave you tonight. Talk about a cliffhanger. Come back tomorrow night to find out if I think we're going to get close to that. That's all I've got. I'm Meteorologist Shane Smith. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Share. If you're watching later, go ahead and follow me on all the socials. Meteorologist Shane Smith on Facebook. Shane S. Smith Weather. TikTok, Insta, YouTube, X. I will be posting more information tomorrow. Won't have as much during the day because my day job, I'm a teacher full-time, meteorologist, formerly full-time, but now part-time meteorologist and a digital meteorologist. I do most of my content digitally now, although I fill in for a couple of TV stations here in Kentucky occasionally. And this is going to be one to track, friends. So stay tuned, stay weather aware, take care. I'll talk to you guys next time.